Welcome to Harmonized. I am your host, Gigi Naval, a registered dietitian for over 30 years who transitioned to practicing with a functional nutrition approach to help you improve your metabolic health and energy by way of optimizing your gut and hormone health to work in harmony with each other. I'm not going to argue that a good number of women can experience moodiness when going through perimenopause, menopause, or even postmenopause. But what I do want to argue is this. You do not have to stay in that mode or experiencing bouts of moodiness every now and then just because you are going through these different transitions of life. No, you don't have to stay there. It's not a death sentence, so to speak. And it can be so uncomfortable going through the different feelings of being moody, being irritable, getting easily ticked off when anybody says just anything, whether it be neutral, very nice, or not so nice. And yes, it does come with the changes, but here's the thing. God has given so many other researchers and practitioners who have gone before us knowledge. And because of them, we know how to manage and even mitigate and even get rid of the moodiness going through this transition. So, what are some of the reasons why we experience this going through this stage of life? Well, this is what we always hear, and it is true. Estrogen dominance can take place. Whether you're still producing good amounts of estrogen and progesterone, testosterone, you have less production of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, you could still be in estrogen dominance because it's not about how much you're producing. It is the ratio of estrogen to progesterone. So yes, even in menopause and postmenopause, when we have less of these hormones, but if the ratio is such that your progesterone is way less than the estrogen that you do have, then yes, the moodiness can be exacerbated. It can really come on like a vengeance. And so why is that? Why is that other than our hormone levels are decreasing? Well, it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. If your stress levels are not being managed, then it's going to cause the body to actually then produce more cortisol. That's our stress hormone. And when cortisol levels go up, that makes progesterone levels decrease. Okay, so technically progesterone is needed to help make cortisol. But when our stress is so unmanaged, it's kind of really taking from the progesterone and saying, I really need help. And so not cholesterol, but cortisol levels go up, progesterone levels go down, and then that tips off the estrogen to be in a dominant state. Okay, so one of the places that we really need to work on is to manage our stress. And I know that there are so many people out there who are already sharing with you the ways to manage your stress, and we can go over that or not. And so I'm going to choose not to, at least in this episode, but what we can do is during those times when we are just feeling so stressed, we can say, okay, Lord, you are my partner in life, and I am going to leave everything in your hands for you to take care of, to help me manage it. So that's one thing that we can do. And there are all the other ways that I know you already know, but I will definitely address that in another episode as well. But here's the main thing that I really want to talk about. Okay, guess what? you might already know this or you might not, but minerals, which are micronutrients in our bodies, they actually are the spark plugs of our hormones. And sodium and potassium and copper and zinc, those work with estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And so when those are off, then that affects the levels of our estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So that's why it's so important to address that by making sure we are eating the foods that we need that do have sodium, that do have potassium. Of course, we add sodium to the food that we eat, but sodium needs potassium, and potassium, let me say that again. Sodium needs potassium, and potassium needs sodium in order to be absorbed. One needs the other to be absorbed, and not just having one more than the other, okay? And then when it comes to copper and zinc, those two like to be in balance with each other. And there's so much more to talk about copper and zinc, but when there's not enough zinc, and that actually works with progesterone and testosterone, there's not enough zinc, then that means there won't be enough progesterone and testosterone, and then that can throw off estrogen, and estrogen works with copper. And when there's a lot of, this is going to sound different, when there's a lot of unbound copper floating in our system, that leads to having estrogen dominance. Okay. And I can go into so much more detail, but let me just leave it at that for now. I am planning on having a series on minerals, and so stay tuned. It might start next week. I'm not sure. It might start next week or the following week, but I will have a mineral series. So keep in mind that when we are managing our stress, letting go and leaving things at the feet of God and in His hands to take care of, and when we are mindful of making sure we are getting the nutrients, the minerals that our bodies need, then it can make a difference in how our hormones interact with each other, and then how that affects us as far as the symptoms that we experience. And guess what? We have what's called nutrigenetics. Nutrigenetics is nutrition-related gene variations. So that means that you and I know I do, you and I have, and I don't know what your situation is, but everybody that I work with has gene variations, nutrition-related gene variations. So I'm sure you do too. And when we have gene variations to different minerals, as well as vitamins, and especially if we have gene variations for zinc, okay, so that's one example. And we're not eating enough of the foods that contain zinc, and again, other minerals, then that can really affect how we feel. Because again, minerals are the spark plugs of our hormones. So for me, I always like to do a hair tissue mineral analysis test with all of my clients. And what's neat about the hair tissue mineral analysis test is that it gives us an idea of the minerals that you burned through over the past 3 months prior to when you cut that sample from your head. It's amazing how it can show us the minerals that you are particularly burning through because of stress. Is it a standalone test? No, of course not. None of these tests are. But they complement each other when you bring them together. And the hair tissue mineral analysis test will let you know what's going on in your cells. Yes, we need our minerals to be in our cells and not only in our serum or in our blood. When we take blood work and we have our blood drawn, it is providing information for that point in time that you collected blood or the phlebotomist collected the blood from you. So it's giving you a snapshot of what's going on at that moment of time and what's going on in your serum. So it's good to look at that, but it's also good to look at what is going on in your own cells. The body is so intricate in how it works, and God designed minerals and vitamins to work together in order to power all the different processes in our body. Oh, it is so amazing. I have done the hair tissue mineral analysis test. It is eye-opening. In fact, I did it at the beginning of, well, maybe not the beginning of, but towards the end of 2020, so during the pandemic. And I was just pushing myself left and right to do this and that. And when I actually had the hair tissue mineral analysis test done and I got the results, I'll be completely honest with you. I was not a good Christian, but I reacted and I literally threw my results like across the room. I thought, that is not me. I am not stressed. Oh my word. I was so in denial. And then 2 days later, I prayed and I said, Lord, I know I need to look at those results again. Please humble me and help me to realize what I need to do to take care of my body, which is your temple. And help me to be humble about it because that really hurt. And God helped me. And I realized, boy, I was in copper dysregulation. When you're in copper dysregulation, yeah, it can wreak havoc in various ways. Now I understand even more so why I experienced certain symptoms the way I did, like the moodiness and perimenopause. And you know what set that scene for me, the copper dysregulation? It was being a vegetarian from when I was 15 years old to when I was 30 years old. And a vegetarian diet is already deficient in zinc, which I didn't really understand the repercussions of that and how that would affect my hormones. Thank God. God helped me realize this and understand things better. So I had to make all the necessary adjustments. And so let me tell you that the experience that I had going through menopause itself, yes, I did have some bare minimum issues, but it didn't last long because I was listening to what my body was telling me and I pivoted right away. I wish I could have taken action during my perimenopause years earlier. That would have been better with a moodiness. Okay, but it's never too late to make changes in our health, for our gut health and our hormone health, so they can work in harmony with each other to optimize our metabolic health. Okay, so friend, in all that we do and all that we eat and drink, let us do it all for the glory of God. If you need personalized help in resolving your gut, hormone, or metabolic health challenges, then sign up to work with me in my fusion program called Gut and Hormone Harmonizer in the link located in the description.